We want to start out with your sacred story because it's incredibly powerful when you've had a very long spiritual journey so far.
Right, so far. Yes. Well, you know, anything can be sacred when we look at it through different eyes. The different eyes could be appreciation. They could be certainly love, understanding. So as my journey began, I initially had some experiences go on in life that I guess in hindsight not everyone did. I like to tell the story that up until about the age of 18, 20, something like that, I thought everybody saw colors when their eyes were closed. So there really was no need for me to ask anybody about it because it was just like normal. So, however, you know, as I've come to know over the years, that's not always true for everyone. But as you mentioned in the introduction, which I appreciate, I certainly have the freedom now because of the largely telesummits like this one and our Awakening World and the teaching that the masters and the Christed extraterrestrials and even the knowing of clients. A 10-year-old boy would instruct me and remind me and tell me this, that, and the other. So it is an age now where I can say without fear that I am a second wave Pleiadian. I'm a mother. I'm an earth being, and as Michael said in his 2012 book, in that context of that book, a Pleiadian can be anyone that might be sitting across the table from you. One time years ago, I had a lecture, and I actually came out in a suit to make a point. It was like an avatar suit. And so this concept of, you know, the story, the sacredness of the story. So I can stand in a place now where my life experiences, although they were not always understandable, they are now, and they become more sacred with really every passing moment, with every new piece of divine intervention that might be shared with me, with every person, animal that's helped her heal. There's sacredness in that. And there's also sacredness in me sort of growing into myself, which I guess is what you were asking me to share with you. What is my story? So it was a process for me, as you say, a process of trusting, believing, not believing. What was I hearing? Who was communicating? What was I here to do? And so pretty early in my life, I would say, about the age of, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, something like this, I saw the face of Christ in a glass of water in our kitchen. And I think it was nothing much ado was made about it. I don't remember anyway. Life went on, and then my dear beloved mother crossed over at a young age. And so what was not sacred was her crossing at the time. What wasn't sacred was how alone I felt, how much of a tragedy it was, how much anger that stirred up in me, and you know, how could there be a God? How could this be? So certainly my story from my eyes then, wasn't always what I would call sacred. The sacredness has come over the years in learning that in the moment that I heard my mother speak to me, one moment of sacredness is the realization, as I come to know it, is that life is eternal. And so what was initially a very, really not good place and time in my life for many years, because I didn't hear from her immediately, some time went by. So it was a very struggling kind of time. Well, we all have those moments. We've all have loved ones that have transitioned, as I would say now. So the sacredness came then. That's maybe the first inkling in the way that we're talking about it. And the revelation really that life is eternal and that the pure bliss that I could hear and be guided and comforted by her was sort of mind-blowing. And as the months and years progressed, then I came into the, well, if this is really you, show me, tell me, prove it to me. So that became sacred from something that in that moment of tragedy sort of was in rubble, truly. And so the other component of sacred sort of moving forward, like 30 years, from 20 to 35 years or so, is the wealth of information and through experiences where angels showed up, Christ showed up, Master showed up, extraterrestrial showed up, God energy showed up, kind of feeding me, kind of like spoon feeding me these experiences. And so some of the spoon feeding certainly were the books. Some of the spoon feeding was Raphael and Jesus telling me that I would be a servant, and at a time when I didn't think I would, and I was doing something different. So the sacredness for me over the last many years really is partly the level of acceptance of the world awakening. If I can just make a sort of a side note, we all have a myriad of experiences, and so earlier on, I'd say maybe 5 years ago, I would get an occasional, the world was different. It wasn't so open and expansive, and so a lot of judgment, more judgment I feel was passed. So not only for myself, I can only speak for myself, but perhaps some of your other listeners or your speakers that you've had on there. But the climate of the world is more love and heart-centered and heart-based. So I used to get comments occasionally like, you're nuts, lady, basically. This can't be, and so even that knowing now, even those experiences I see as sacred because they led me to be who I am. And so every experience, every thought, every breath can be sacred, even those that fall outside of love or kindness or acceptance or tenderness. So in many ways I feel as though, the guides kept giving me more and more and sort of more and more. And every day when I wake up, I don't know what they'll be giving me in the future. I know Michael's tireless. There's a backlog of assignments from Archangel Michael. But so where I was, where my journey began, and where I am now are 360 times 10 times 10 times 10 different.
Well, and who knows 5 years from now where it will be, right? I mean, that's part of the beauty of the journey, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely.